Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining this evening. Welcome to what Mynoo Marielle calls her nugget of wisdom, which is quite different from what we often do. Most weeks we're bringing you a pearl of wisdom, but tonight is a little bit special, a lot bit special, I should say. We are going to be focusing on the 4 pillars of Holi, which is the festival of colors. If you have not seen this before, we're going to bring this alive tonight for you. So I think you're going to be very excited. It feels very celebratory, a grand celebration of vibrancy, as Mynoo calls it. So you are definitely in store for quite a surprise. She's going to tell us how we use these pillars and the exuberance that arises as a result of anchoring these pillars. So welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for coming on board with us tonight for yet again our nugget of wisdom. And Mynoo shares this wisdom for the first time, and it gives each of us, as she calls it, the reins to activate the aliveness just at the click of a finger, at the blink of an eye. It's that quick. So these hidden secrets of Holi, the festival of colors, and the celebration of the elements and so much more that you'll be privy to tonight. So I've been to India many times. It is my favorite festival. Just talking about it brings me to that place where I can remember the extraordinary energy. So again, tonight is a pillar of wisdom, a nugget of wisdom, I should say. And this nugget of wisdom is the 4 pillars of Holi, the festival of colors. And I love that Mynoo is going to be bringing this firsthand to you from where else but India. So very magical place, unless I'm wrong and you've gone somewhere else, Mynoo, in the last few days. But I'm very excited to hear.
I'm in Dubai. I'm still in
Dubai. You're in Dubai. Okay. Well, we're all in India in some regard, because once you've been there, you never leave it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mynoo. Thank you all for joining us for the 4 pillars of Holi, the festival of colors, and which Mynoo called the grand celebration of vibrancy. She's going to let us know how we can supercharge our own life. So over to you, Mynoo.
Thank you, Catherine. And yes, hello, everyone. Yeah, it's very odd to be and so quiet on this holy morning. Usually there's a lot of excitement. We often wake up early, filling up water balloons and our water guns. And, you usually have lots and lots of little plates with all these different mounds of color that's there ready to go out and celebrate. So I'll share some more photos of that within our WhatsApp group. This year, I'm particularly excited. I mean, I love Holi. It's my favorite. It's my favorite festival of all. It's got that, naughtiness, the rebelliousness, the fun about it. It's one of I would say, the only festival. Every Indian festival, we do work with all of the elements in the form of prayer. In Holi, you actually really integrate these elements. So that there's a power of all the elements along with the power of all of these colors and a lightness of being in the people that are celebrating it. So I thought, what better day to get started on the 4 pillars that anchor the foundation of the vibration of Holi. The innate vibration, look, every word has an innate vibration. And certain festivals that are celebrated by large communities have their own innate vibration. The innate vibration of Holi is triumph. It's one of triumph. Triumph, and it's about rejoicing and celebrating rejoicing in co-creating the celebration of triumph. So it is not the bravado, beating your chest triumph. It is really acknowledging your triumph and collaboratively co-creating the celebration of it. That's what Holi is about. The 4 pillars that anchor the vibration of this festival, we're going to work with those. And there's a post I've done on LinkedIn, which I will also share with the group later on. The 4 pillars are, the first one is harness. The second one is opening. The third one is leverage. And the fourth one is invigoration. So let's work with each one of these. And as always, I'll make it as practical as possible so that you can be implementing it in your own way. So harness. There are 2 very specific gifts that get given to us to harness on this day. And you have your own that you can completely expand into. The first one is the gift of harnessing the power of the elements. So Holi always happens on the next day after full moon. So full moon was yesterday. And you always begin it with like a big bonfire. There is a story that goes with wow, really to anchor what the power of these 4 pillars is. So the first one is elements. There are 4 elements that come into play and are very actively utilized by Indians who engage in celebrating Holi. We begin with, on full moon night, with the bonfire. And the bonfire is a very specific, with a very specific intention to burn away that which doesn't serve, even that which is like packaged or couched in something that might be of service to us, but actually is not. So it's as if when you, on Holi, when you work with the fire element, burning away that which doesn't serve, it finds in your field, even those things that don't serve you, that you may think are actually really good for you. And if you give yourself permission to, okay, fine, just burn it away, you apply the power of fire, they actually get burnt away. Now, what is the power of the fire element? The fire element has got 2 aspects to it. The first one is that it destroys. And it destroys in such a thorough way that it changes the state forever of that which you apply the fire element to. So once that element is activated, it destroys and changes the state. Now you can just leave it at that. But fire also has the power to activate and invoke the new state that you can define what that is. So by harnessing the power of the fire element, you can declare what it is that you wish to invoke or activate in your life. So as the destruction takes place and the state is changed, the changed state becomes that which you have declared. This entire year, from 2020 onwards, it has been a time of becoming very consciously aware and choosing consciously. And the work that we've been doing here, Catherine hosted these gatherings and the Beyond Meditation work, we've got people more and more aware of making these choices for themselves and choosing them consciously, proactively. So you can get proactive. There are many of you here from the US. You're just entering that bonfire time. Indian communities that are celebrating Holi in the US and Europe will actually be certainly in the US will be in the bonfire time very soon, in about an hour or so. So you can light a candle or you can do your own little bonfire, but give yourself permission this year, don't even have to think about what it is that you wish to destroy. You just give yourself permission, your cells permission, your field permission to put into the bonfire that which doesn't serve you anymore. Find it. I don't even need to know what that is. Take it out, burn it, and anchor for invocation and activation with the full power of the element fire, that which you wish to anchor and activate. So that's the first element. Now, what happens on Holy Day, when you wake up in the morning, a lot of excitement and all of that is there. And people play with water, so there's water balloons, water guns, all sorts of stuff, as well as buckets of water. So if you're living in an apartment, you'll have a line of buckets of water. Kids do it often, and as people are getting out of the building to go out into the courtyards to celebrate, they know quite well that they just have to run out of the building, but there might be some water that will be splashed on them any moment. So let's look at the element of water and what it is doing on this day of Holi, utilizing this water. So water literally washes away the debris and brings flow. That's what it's doing. That is the power of this element of water. Now, when you have water, always is meant to follow fire. And Holi, there's a very specific sequence. So you've burnt away that which doesn't serve you. You've invoked and activated that which you wish to be activated with. The next day you bring water in that washes away the debris, brings flow on the day of Holi, because there is this playfulness and lightness that's there in people, as opposed to the heaviness. Then you have that playful and lightness of being that is the innate vibration of the flow that you are applying to that which you intended, that you've already activated with the fire element. That's what happens with water on Holi. So water is a very, very, very important aspect of Holi. So when I know that I'm actually going to be working with the power of these elements, I totally accept the power of these elements. I just go for it, So I thought, okay, flow, where would I love to have flow in my life? I utilize the technology of acknowledgement that each of you and all of you are fully aware of. So where do I want to bring flow? And I just start acknowledging that. And I did that last night. And here, okay, we're not going to have water balloons, but we are actually going to have some water guns just for the heck of it. So work with what it is that you want to bring in flow. And remember, you are the world, and it is your world. So whatever makes it easy for you, if it is easy for you to engage with these kind of questions by focusing on the outside and bringing it in, do that. I'm not that fussed about it. Just be flowing about it. The key thing is becoming very heavy-headed about where I want to bring flow. You're actually not utilizing the playfulness and the lightness of being that you have available to you through this festival of color. And if you do feel very serious about some certain things you want to bring in flow, just engage with the seriousness for a bit. And once you get into a state of laughter, go for it. Write it down. Because the heaviness itself interrupts the flow. Be it, I am going to I'm actually going to focus on enlightenment and get super serious about that. You're actually defeating the opportunity that you have of bringing that playful wonderment that you have available through this festival of Holi. Now, air. So you've done the water part. What happens in India is, people get together, and yes, you visit each other, and you have these colors often made with food starch, and the original ones really had natural coloring in them. And you literally throw it, like that's how you begin. And then you can rub it on each other's faces and stuff. And people usually have all sorts of colors on their faces. But there's a lot of utilization of air where these colors are thrown. And people are, you're sort of running from someone who's trying to, who has got lots of color on their hands, and it's all going to go on your face. People usually wear white on this day as well when you go out. So it gets completely colored and wet, and it's quite fun that occurs. So the air element is completely invoked because you hear shrieks and laughter and all sorts of stuff. We are utilizing the air element through the sounds that we are making even. There are particular sounds of Holi as well, drum beats and lots of laughter and screeching and screaming and even calling each other names. And there's one particular town. I spent my early years in the north of India, where Holi is quite a festival. And there's this one particular town where it's like on Holi Day, anything goes, which basically means whatever it is that you want to say to someone, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, you go for it. And it's just taken in that stride. Right? So air element is used every time we communicate with sound. Air element is utilized. So what is the air element? What is the power of the air element? The power of the air element is it blows away the clutter and brings laser sharp clarity. So I was always very curious, because as a child growing up in those parts of India, and on Holi Day, it was like, oh my God, wonder what explosions are going to happen this time. Because people would use all sorts of language, which as kids, our ears would be closed up. But people would be laughing about it. So we clearly knew that there was something funny and yet quite serious about it. And as I grew older, I couldn't understand, my God, why would you allow people to say these horrible things to each other? And then as if they just carry on as if nothing happened. But it literally just takes away build-up, Half the time this unsaid communication just builds up and builds up and builds up and has all sorts of ramifications on our bodies. So what is happening here with the air element when you do speak up like this is it blows away the clutter. It is a lot of this stuff is all clutter, which creates so much meaning that prevents us from moving forward with clarity. So in the vibe of Holi, which is triumph with the lightness of being and playfulness, where you're co-creating the celebration, then this release of this unsaid communication, at least once a year, brings that community spirit back, brings that reconnection with each other in your families and friends back. And if you have been proactive about where you wish your laser beam to focus with clarity, it really catapults you forward in a very, very powerful way. Your strides become tall and long. And if you're already on a path with clarity and laser beam focus, you get to the end game. You get to the end of it. So the air element is a very powerful one. blows away the clutter, brings laser beam clarity. The night before Holi, so last night for me, it has always been an important time, always. I remember even as little kids, there was always this play work to do the night before Holi, because we would all be, my mom would get us to write or talk about stuff that we wanted to get rid of. What is it that you're going to be focusing on? I had no idea. And I don't think she did either, that she was actually really directing the application of the power of these elements. And if you already know there is some clutter, then you can just acknowledge, these are all the elements of clutter. I'm actually going to use apply the air element to get rid of. And if you don't know, it doesn't matter. The air element will get rid of clutter. I chose, and I have been choosing ever since I went on my spiritual awakenings, the night before Holi, I've always chosen that which I want that laser beam focus clarity on. When I moved to Bali and I was there for 9 years, every year I would have a Holi party at home. I might share some photos of my Holi gatherings from the past. So you know what it's like. Earth is the other element. Holi is also rich in foods. So the sequence basically is you burn it the night before, you wake up in the morning, there's water balloons, water guns, all that stuff. You have your colors, you go out, you play it, and you come home and there is a humongous feast. And so there's all sorts of flavors and fragrances and all of that is there. Food is earthing. It actually literally brings it all together. And it very much is a part of the earth element. So the earth element anchors the new state, anchors that which you have now brought into flow, and anchors that which you are moving forward with laser sharp clarity. So the way I like to work with the earth element, particularly when it comes to food, I do so with a prayer or a blessing. And I remember, I know some of you have been to my place in Bali and had shared meals there at home. We would always have humongous, lots of food. And you would come and you would think, oh my God, this is never going to be eaten. It's like we're feeding a whole community. By the end of when everybody leaves, it would more or less everything would be gone. But a very important part of that always was, particularly on Holi, was the blessing of the food. And many of us do it regularly. The blessing that I always used, and it came about on one of these holy days, holy celebrations, is I bless every being that has come together to make that food available to me on my plate. All the way from the insects in the soil, the worms that made the soil rich, and whatever else, the people, the farmers, all of that. I don't necessarily name everyone. I just really go for expressing my deep gratitude to all the beings that came together to make this food available to me on my plate. I then go into expressing my gratitude to all the beings in me and the being of me that is going to receive the nurturing nourishment that this food is about to offer me. And with grace, I receive it. What I did not realize, and really this is what comes about in this blessing, is we are earthing ourselves, we are grounding ourselves as a collaborator and a co-creator of coexistence. by utilizing this way of blessing. Bless your food in whichever way. I'm just sharing with you how I do it. And it came about, it was birthed on one of these holy celebrations at home in Bali. And that basically, what this is doing is you're acknowledging the collaborative co-creation of aliveness as you move forward with playfulness and a lightness of being, in flow, with laser sharp clarity, having invoked and activated that which you are a stand for. Now, those are the colors, and those are the elements. Another gift that we have available to us during this festival, and it is available to us to harness, it is a gift of colors. There are all sorts of colors that people use, but there are 7 colors of Holi that are operating in the fullness of their healing powers that is available to us. Red, the color red. It's the most prevalent and prominent color. With playfulness and a lightness of being, you invoke the power, you harness the power of the color red to get a move on. Get that momentum to move in the direction that you wish to move forward with. You harness the power of the color red to get a move on. The other color of Holi, they're not in any particular sequence, and I just like to think about it in the sequence of the chakra colors, even though they're not all the chakra colors. But the other color that is very much there is orange. So you do have this very deep red, and there's also an orangey red often. I had the orangey red because I used sandalwood with my food starch when I worked with Holi. So the orange, as a color of one of the colors of Holi, the power of orange is the power of literally coming home to the fullness of you. It is your identity, your personal anchoring of the I am frequency. The I am frequency is a frequency of our creator. And you literally anchor it within yourself. That is the power of the color orange. Why is it used as the color for many, many spiritual or Indian gurus? You know, I am frequency is the frequency of the creator. And the power that that color orange or saffron gives you is that reconnection to that frequency instantly, just by the virtue of wearing that color. And I'll talk about, once we've gone through all of these colors, how you can work with them. You don't have to wait for Holi each year. It's just that Holi does it naturally, with playfulness and naughtiness and wonderment. The third color of Holi is yellow. And yellow is the one that it's like it's like a jolt that completely invokes the tonation of your core muscles. It like releases fear. Yellow gives you a jolt and releases fear. It's very interesting when you think about the rising sun. You know, all of these colors are also available to you in the rising sun, and it finally ends up in white, the light, which has all of these colors blended together. And you feel that in the rising sun. If you've ever been anywhere where, you know, it's dark and you have your eyes closed and you're experiencing it, and even if you don't open your eyes, you allow the sun to rise, there is a particular moment in the sunrise where you just feel that. jolt and you feel fearless. And that's the power of the color yellow. It's just there. It's just so of this particular color. Green is another color of Holi. Green is a color of love. And I know the Chinese talk about it as a color of abundance, prosperity. And, you know, you can have all the money in the world. And if love isn't there, you're not in that space of love, it doesn't feel abundant. You can say, I have a lot of money, but not feel prosperous. Green, the power of green is prosperity and abundance, anchored in love. You know, you can literally walk through a row of trees. There was, we could afford to eat were the chips from a fish and chip shop for a period of time. And that's what we had as money. And we still went for a walk to Hampstead Heath and felt very abundant and highly prosperous walking amongst those trees. It just does it for you. The power of the color green is that. It anchors love. And it's literally, when it anchors love, the blossoming of that results in that experience of prosperity and abundance. That's the power of the color green and the color blue. The color blue, again, these are quite very jolting in how during Holi particularly, it's like you literally take the color and just throw it like that, right? It's like a jolt of blue that gets that hits you. It opens up your expression. It's all about self-expression. This is one festival where you celebrate the expression of self in every way. You literally, color blue gets you to find your voice back. Not just intellectually, you actually start speaking. So those unsaid communication, and it was like a ritual, you know. People would say whatever they had to say. It's all a part of it. Blue does that naturally. It just takes the blocks off, opens the gates of a dam that might be holding back unsaid communications. Utilize the power of blue, purple, violet, another important color of Holi. That connects you to your inner wisdom. And the expression of that with the color blue, with love, powered by green, relinquishing fear, claiming your own identity, owning, declaring to yourself, you are the creator of your world, and then getting a move on. Taking that step forward. That is the power of this color, violet and purple. It gives you the strength that all is well, even if it doesn't appear so. And then the seventh color of Holi is magenta. Magenta is about exuberance. I have a little niece in Delhi, and she's just turned 20, and she's a forensic makeup artist, like phenomenal. She can just like She'll paint your face completely white and then create a face. Nobody will even know that it's not your face, and it's all done with makeup, which is amazing. And she messaged me out of the blue and says, I'm going to send, somebody's coming to Dubai, I'm going to send you this lip color. It is perfect for you. I haven't actually had the audacity to put it on yet. It is magenta. It's like, you realize I'm going to be 62 this year, walking around with this magenta. And she says, I can't believe you are using age as a reason for not utilizing this color. It's your color. She says, when I saw this, and she's very particular about where she sources her makeup from. This 20-year-old, it has to be anti-cruelty and all of that, and she's got this. So it's about exuberance. That's what it is. Having that magenta on my lip, the power of exuberance with every word I share. How fabulous. That is the power of magenta. It naturally brings forth exuberance. Now, here's the thing to remember. This is the key. When I talk about these colors and I talk about the power that they bring to you, they automatically, the power is so strong that in bringing that power, that which comes in the way of it is released and relinquished from your field. So you can imagine, I totally get this girl's, maybe she probably was divinely guided to send me this magenta lip color. Every word I say is powered with exuberance, automatically relinquishing that which is not. What does that do to the voice that I've just claimed on this particular day? So today I'm going to wear this magenta lip color. Now that you know the power of these colors, how can you be working with them? You work with them through your clothes. I wear very colorful clothes now, but for the longest time, I never used to. And I'll share a photograph of a jacket, which is one of my favorite jackets that I would often wear, particularly as a movie producer when I was going for some tough negotiations or decisions. I would wear this jacket. It is completely black. It's velvet. The inside of the jacket is a whole different world altogether. It is it's bright magenta inside. The sleeves have a fluorescent green on it. It's all on the inside. So there's just like when I move a little bit, people get a little glimpse of, oh, there's something fun going on in there. So you can use it in your way. Even if your style is black, fine. Have something inside. Be it an underwear, whatever. Choose whatever colors you want to use. You can use it on your furnishings, the foods you eat, the vistas, the screensavers, wherever. Utilize the power of these colors. What was super exciting for me is that understanding that whilst the colors do what they do, that which blocks us from utilizing the power of the colors automatically is released or relinquished. So these are the two very specific gifts the elements and the colors that you can harness. Now, the values of this, I keep getting a message that my internet connection is unstable. So in case my voice disappears, Catherine, just let me know and I will switch the internet connection. Harness by itself is a very powerful word. Vibrationally, its intention is anchoring abundance. Harness, its vibrational intent is anchoring abundance. So you're acknowledging right from the get-go that you have got something in abundance that you are going to harness, and you harnessing it has it be regenerative. So that's the fun and amazing part of engaging with this pillar of harness. So I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. I get it. I'm powered by the colors, I'm powered by the elements. What else can I apply the harness to? What else is there in me that I can harness? So you can look at for yourself, what are your gifts that you are acknowledging, that others sometimes say or talk about, that you may humbly be, not necessarily talking about yourself. So acknowledge your gifts. This is a great time to be doing it. Your talents, some of your experiences. If you've experienced some big, humongous life moments which feel worthy of completely ignoring, well, there is every time something that you don't wish to happen happens, what does happen is a rocket of desire is shot up by your subconscious about that which you do want. So if you've had moments of contrasts, you don't need to go into the contrast itself. What you can choose to apply the harness vibe to is, what got shot up that I do want? In those moments, what clarity did my subconscious get about what it is that I do want? How would I be? What is a vibration? What is a feeling I would be experiencing if I actually got that? Harness that insight. In you acknowledging something that you've already released into the atmosphere, you're getting the universe to really get working on delivering that to you. So you have the ability to harness these powerful insights that you may never have looked at in this way. Harnessing the experiences, the feelings in certain relationships, certain interactions, the yumminesses of certain aspects of your life. Certain knowingnesses that have served you. I'm just giving you certain examples, but all I want to say is receive fully the two gifts that you receive on this day to harness the gift of the power of the elements and the power of the colors, and add to it other aspects from your life that you can harness. The second pillar of Holi that anchors a vibe of Holi. The second pillar is opening. So if you have harnessed all of this that we've just talked about, the power of the colors, the power of the elements, as well as all that you've acknowledged that you to harness, if you were in that space where that harnessing was occurring naturally, what opens up? What openings become available to you? For you physically? Think about it. These elements, as well as the colors, you harness their power. There's a tremendous amount of inner healing that can take place without going through any great trauma, drama, or processes. So literally here I go into full spectrum, lay of the land, examination of what's opening up physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and environmentally. Applying the power of yellow, relinquishing fear. What does that do to you mentally? Applying the power of love in areas that might have stopped you in the past, or this is through the color green or the color blue, expressing the voice that it allows you to find. So when you start acknowledging what opens up, if I was to do all of that, this is where that wonderment and lightness of being, particularly on this day, which has got its natural vibe, is that of playfulness and lightness of being. What shows up for you when you engage with it in this way is it creates a whole collection of phenomenal gifts that you already have access to. Christmas, we give gifts to each other. Diwali is another time where we give gifts to each other. Holi is a time where you receive gifts. It's a time of harvesting these gifts. And the gifts show up as gifts when you see them as an opening that has become available to you. It's very, very profound. I mean, you can imagine going into this when I did this, because we are in Holi, so I looked at all the openings, and I'm looking at physical and mental and emotional as well, and spiritual. I was so present to, wow, I naturally wake up this day and I'm stationed in spirit, the spiritedness of me. And that is what happens. That's what you see when people are playing Holi. We don't talk about it as let's go and do the holy prayer, or let's go and celebrate Holi. It's like, are you coming to play Holi? That's how you speak it. Doesn't matter what age you are. You go out and play. The morning of Holi is all about playing. The spiritedness of you. What's coming out. It's stationed naturally. And that has a direct impact on your social dynamics. And that's why, on this day, it was quite imprinted in me. I mean, as a child, yeah, you're excited, but then you see these adults screaming at each other as well, and then having a big laugh with the same people that you had this crazy screaming with. It does something. It brings a spiritedness to the social dynamics, shifts the environment. The environment feels light. And you can imagine each one of us, as we are soul beings stationed in this human form, having a human experience. As a soul being, we are omnipresent. A soul is actually playful and has a lightness of being naturally, which is why it can leave the human body, even if the human body is very decrepit or in great suffering. The soul can still leave the human body and move on without carrying any baggage. So here in this human body, we are a soul being. When you start getting rid of all of this clutter and debris is washed away and stuff that doesn't serve you is burnt off and a status change, think about it. Fire, You can burn, big cartons, heavy cartons. You burn them, they all become ash. Light, you can just blow it, should you choose to. So all of that is available to you. It brings a lightness into the environment. As a soul being, you are connected holographically to so many other souls. When you claim the power and reclaim your power, utilizing the power of the color orange, you're plugged into the vibration of the creator. You holographically start spreading where you are at in terms of your own being. So if you're in the state of lightness, of being connected to your spirit, the spiritedness of you is what's expressing, it has an impact on the environment. So I find it fabulous that, Indians all over the world celebrate this. Wherever I've lived in different countries. And even as we were growing up, Holi party was the party at home. Everything else was all serious stuff. We get together and pray, and that was all great, wonderful. But Holi party we always had, and I carried on that tradition. We would always have a Holi party. Because now I know that these 4 pillars were always there. They weren't revealed or discussed or even shared in the way that I'm able to do it today. I'm anchoring these pillars, anchoring the vibe of Holi on, during this year of rejoicing. So it continues forevermore. The third pillar is leverage. And that's like a natural, right? There you are, you've harnessed all of these power of the elements and the colors and your own gifts and talents and connections and all of that. And you've experienced all of these openings, and some of them you've chosen to go across the threshold and get into action with. You're already now open and experiencing points of leverage that become available to you, that you can utilize to catapult even to higher levels, those areas or those ambitions or those aspirations that might have been hidden or that you might have even given up on. You realize how much leverage you do have. Many of you who've done deeper work with me, and there are several of you here, I always say life's meant to be easy. Joy, ease, and grace is actually omnipresent. We just don't presence ourselves in that state. Right? Now, what this leverage does, this Holi is a very sensory experience. It's very, you feel it. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can see it, it's utilizing, you can smell it, you can taste it. Literally, all of your senses are activated on this day. You see the vibrancy, you hear the vibrancy from the sounds that people are making. You taste it from the foods and the drinks that people have. And you do touch each other because they're putting this color on each other. And the fragrances of what's cooking is very, very prevalent. So it's very sensory. Now, those of you who've done work on ask and it is given, and how do you achieve that? You do visualization where you activate all your senses. On this day, they are active already. You literally anything. And by the time you get to leverage, you've already identified and have already got into action, harnessing several things that I've covered earlier on. You become aware of these openings. So many of the things that you might have identified as blocks could be your habits, could be certain people, could be certain circumstances. You already know in amidst all of that, there are many, many openings. And you can choose to take up those openings, but you are in an openness in terms of your understanding that, oh, I do have a certain leverage that I can act on. Remember, because Holi is so sensory, every step of the way, you are taking your mind along. So your mind is quite rested and comfortable. Your thoughts are one of celebration. And there is a playfulness and a lightness that's there naturally. So your intellect can be activated to whatever extent you wish to in terms of how you're going to leverage what you now are aware of. During the playtime of Holi, you just play. This is the other piece. Half the time, we are not present fully, right? It may be playtime, but there's quite a big chunk of us thinking of lots of other things. In Holi, because someone might be coming from any direction and covering your face with color, you're very vigilant. You actually, playtime is playtime. So if any of you who are here from India and you are thinking, I don't really play Holi and stuff, go play. Go play. And if you're conscious about social distancing and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. Play going through these pillars in your own room or in your own home, Play though. Because what the leverage that you can have working with leverage as a pillar that is anchoring the vibe of Holi, it works at a conscious level, subconscious, and an unconscious level. Leverage is a little bit like a lever. So literally, from what you've done on harness and openings, it's not everything. It'll be a combination of clustering of some of this information that will be the lever. The trim tab that will just get you to turn. A trim tab is one of those widgets in this humongous tankers, oil tankers that used to, that go on in the ocean, where if you are to turn that tanker, it takes a long time to turn. But the lever of the trim tab, literally, the tanker is going this way and it can turn, which you can't imagine could happen. But look at a lever like that. Which of everything that you've identified are your trim tab levers? And work with them in this way. And the fourth pillar is invigoration. It is literally a consequence. It's a pillar which anchors invigoration. And by you acknowledging each of the areas that have got invigorated, you're applying the tool of acknowledgement to deliver the nourishment and nutrition that is needed for that which you have acknowledged, where you feel invigorated, to completely blossom and bloom away. So utilize the fact that invigoration is a pillar, one of the 4 pillars of Holi, and choose everything that you are experiencing that you would call as a vibe of invigoration. What it also does is it anchors at a cellular level what it feels like to feel invigorated. So those of you in the US, you are entering this this realm. You have a whole evening and night and all day tomorrow. And we here in the East, we are waking up to this amazing day. And remember, playtime is playtime. I've covered all of this. This recording is on Facebook Live. It'll also go on YouTube. So it'll be there for you to go back and refer to. This day is this day. It's anchored with these 4 pillars. It's a very solid, stable anchoring that's there. You can get started today and keep working with it and truly work the vibe of Holi as we move forward. Over to you, Catherine. Happy Holi to all of you.
Thank you, Mynoo. Wow, you were not kidding. Grand celebration of vibrancy perfectly describes tonight. Oh, we have a lot of play to do, don't we? We have permission to go play. I love this. It's so wonderful. What a beautiful remembrance, too, of being back in the celebration live in India. Well, I'm excited because next week we are on to our 59th Pearl of Wisdom. Hard to believe, 59. And I will not be here because I'm turning 59. So I will miss you all. What a great, it's almost like a perfect way for me to just lead into my birthday with this idea of throwing paint around and colors. But I will miss you all, and you will be here. Daya will be here to take very good care of you. And I can't wait to see what our 59th Pearl of Wisdom brings, because they just keep getting richer and better, Mynoo. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. Great to see you. And we look forward to next week.
Thank you all. Have a great celebration. Enjoy Holi.